This is Zyrtec. I think it's really good for dealing with hay fever. I take it every day. I think it's up here in citron. So yeah, if you have bad hay fever like I do, I recommend that you take that. But anyway, this is the Irish Funware, and today's topic is how people haven't really changed throughout the course of history. It's just the technology that's changing. So okay, first off, alright, so point number one, I've got it written down here, even though you can't see it, but I'm going to be honest about it and say that. I'm not using this off the top of my head, it's written down. It's pre-prepared. Alright, so number one, ancient Rome used to curse a lot. Yeah, they did. I was reading up about this online. They said that. Oh, Sparky's getting so annoying now trying to get in. Anyway, I'm trying to make this video. I don't want them to disturb me. Okay. And a lot of it was based on what we curse today. It'd be stuff like body parts and sex related to that stuff. So, if you think about it, that's the way we are today. So, ancient Romans haven't changed. Very much similar to us. Okay, so number one, phone today distracts us, but other stuff distracts us in the past. Yeah, so I was watching a music video. It's called "Walking Contradictions" by Green Day. It's based on how they're walking contradictions. They hate celebrities, but they become celebrities themselves. They hate what they are, even though they're just letting themselves become that. And it's good. It's a funny video actually. They end up destroying the town without even noticing it. Anyway, there's one part where Billy Joe, the main singer, has their dyed blonde at this stage. Back in the 90s, before phones were popular like they are now, he was just walking down the street, and he saw a newspaper kiosk. So he put up the money into wherever it was he was going to put it to pay for the newspaper, and so he paid, and he took his newspaper. It was a big pile, but while he took that newspaper, a load of the other newspapers fell onto the ground, which somehow made the newspaper kiosk collapse on top of the guy working there. So he walks up the street, and the dog's so annoying. Jesus. Okay, but anyway, so he was walking up the street and he went to cross the road. So in America, the traffic lights are different. There's a sign saying up, "Don't walk." Or no, it said "walk." So Billy Joe started to cross the road, but as soon as he started crossing the road, it said "Don't walk." And he was there. He was just reading the newspaper. And he was just crossing the road, and while he was just reading the newspaper while crossing the road, a load of the other cars were coming on, were moving in, and to avoid crashing into him, they had to make all these awkward turns, and they ended up some of the cars crashed into themselves, and Billy Joe was just there reading the newspaper. He didn't even notice it was going on. But that's the thing. I'm saying that the newspaper was distracting him, like a phone would today. It's like whatever. Oh, Sparky. But anyway, that was distracting. It's like if we're too interested in something, it might be like an addiction, like a phone. I walk around with a phone and I'm not aware of my surroundings. Then I'm too addicted to it. I'm letting it get the better of me, letting it get in the way of my safety. Billy Joe's doing that here with the newspaper. And I know it's only a music video, but you just have to think that it makes me think that because mobile phones weren't really around back then. They let something else get their attention, if you know what I mean. It's the exact same effect as crossing the road, looking at your phone, not really knowing what's going on. Okay, so alright, next point. Money still motivates us. Yeah, heard people saying that back in like the ancient Roman days and all that. Money used to motivate people to work, and it does now. And yeah, people are willing to just do whatever it takes to survive, really. Even if they're lazy, they'll do anything to survive, such as drinking water. Okay. Alright, so next up. This is a quote. "We live in a decaying age. Young people no longer respect their parents. They are rude and impatient. They frequently inhabit taverns and have no self-control." From what I read, that's an Egyptian quote from a tomb from ancient Egypt years ago. And that dog's getting annoying. Jesus. I wonder if people in the past got annoyed at dogs the same way I'm getting annoyed at my dog. But anyway, it said people used to frequently inhabit taverns and all that, have no self-control. And yeah, people might say that today about the youth. They might say, "Oh well, back in my day, the youth were so much more polite and respectful, and they were in control. They didn't drink too much. But that's not the case." Right, so good old days refers to people's nostalgic beliefs, so that's affection for the past. Yeah, so like nostalgia, they're probably thinking of all the good things from the past, not the bad things. Right, so I was watching a movie yesterday. I didn't watch much of it, like maybe 20 minutes. The kind of got fed up, turned it off. The Commitments, the 1991. That movie is based on, well, from what I saw, it was based on a guy who was into music. He wanted to start a career, so he made tapes of himself singing with his band, and he tried to sell them around. And I'll notice there, this is in Dublin's inner city, so rough spot it looked like anyway. But I mean, people out there weren't. From what I saw in that movie, I'd say people back then are less polite than they are now. It seemed like cursing was more accepted back then. I mean, you see that guy was trying to sell his music tapes in some sort of a kiosk. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a market where it's all outdoors, old school, kind of like what you get in Slorgan Shopping Centre, where you get like those outdoor stuff. If you get loads of those around, then that's what I'm talking about. He was trying to sell his tape to some guy, and he wasn't interested in buying it, so he said "fuck off." I mean, that would not be accepted nowadays. Nowadays, you have to be more polite, saying, "No, I'm not going to take this off your hands," or "I have no interest in buying it." Something like that would be the acceptable way of doing it. In fact, I was working as supervisor doing the work experience, and I heard one guy. From what I heard, he seemed to curse at one of the customers, and he's working in the butcher, so I don't really know him. I was working on the floor, stacking shelves mostly, and he said some woman was giving out to him for cursing. He said, "Oh, that's against protocol or whatever." I mean, that didn't seem to be the case for them back then. It was like that was accepted or something. And also, there's one guy who had a newspaper. He was young. He knocked on some guy's door, and the man answered. He must have been about 50 or something, and so he said that I'm here for a music audition or something, because I think the son there was in a band and he wanted people to play with him, and he's doing like auditions. So the guy came to the house, and the man, I'm not sure if he knew his son was looking for auditions for the band, but he said, "No, you've got the wrong house," which seems fair enough. But anyway, he took the newspaper off him. He closed the door, he walked in back to the house, and the young boy, I'd say teenager, shouted for the post box, "Can I have my newspaper back?" And the man said, "Fuck off." He didn't give him the newspaper back. I mean, that's not polite to me. So I think people saying people in the past were more polite is total exaggeration. I mean, that's not polite. The polite thing to do would be to just open the door and give him his newspaper back. Simple as that. Not that hard. He probably robbed it and kept it for himself. Then you see one case where they're indoors, and I think it's at a wedding, and there's a lot of kids playing around. They're annoying this old man, so he tells them to fuck off. I mean, nowadays that would not be accepted. You'd have to be a bit more polite about it when you're doing that. Or you wouldn't be allowed to curse in front of children nowadays. Children supervised less in the past, got away with more. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, because they're less supervised, it's possible that they were doing as much or even more bad things than what the youth are doing today. They just got away with it. Nobody knew about it. I mean, that's the thing. I was reading up another article that back in the 80s there was a lot of cursing in movies for children, really, and it was just because the people there wanted to be honest. They wanted children to speak the way they actually would speak, and so there's a lot of cursing, and all because they're very inappropriate now. I'm not sure if you get away with that now, but back then they did, because they're just trying to be honest about it. Because they're supervised less, so probably got away with more. That's my point there. Okay, so modern children are allowed to experience traditional rites of passage 2 years later than their parents. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's like we have less freedom nowadays. That's the thing. Our parents know what we're doing more. So yeah, people doing stuff 2 years later than their parents. Yeah, so whatever that might be. But no. Okay, so our brain unchanged from 150,000 years ago. Yeah, so that's what the point I'm mentioning today, that people haven't changed. We'll think they've changed, but they haven't really. As I mentioned before, people have all these bad ideas from the past, which are wrong, such as people saying, "Oh, the youth today are horrible," when there's really that was what they were always like. I mean, we even read something from I think a Viking something, maybe not. He was old. He was saying that, oh, the youth today are all lazy. They all just sit around drinking milk and mead. I think that's type of beer. Well, back in my day, we used to go on adventures and all that, and that's the thing. I mean, where if you look back at it today, people would say, oh, people 1,000 years ago were a lot more active than they are today. So I don't know, maybe that's just his view. Maybe he just sits around drinking mead and ale or whatever it was I mentioned, bread or whatever, and he just thinks everybody else does it. He doesn't see people actually going out and doing stuff. So yeah, but I think there are facts. Like people today aren't as active as they were 30 years ago, whatever. I think that's a fact. Or were they better behaved? I don't know, probably not. Because they weren't supervised as much, they got away with more, I'd say. Alright, so brain surgery is really just 8,000 BC. Yeah, I was reading up about that. People having brain surgery, they get rid of headaches and all that. So, people have the idea of brain surgery today, people have the idea of brain surgery back then. So that means we think in similar ways. And some of those brain surgeries were actually quite successful, I heard. So yeah, and they were smart enough, those people. They took drugs, archaeological dig in Caribbean island of the Carriacou, never heard of that. Found ceramic bowls and tubes used to inhale hallucinogenic fumes and powders. Yeah, so I mean, people take drugs today, people took drugs back then. But back then they saw it differently, to be honest. They saw it as some sort of spiritual, religious thing. They didn't see it as, they probably didn't see it as massive antisocial thing. I mean, I think really the biggest problem is where people take it too much and they can't look after other things like their diet, their exercise plan, their relationships and all that. I think that's when it becomes a real problem. And the amount you do it as well. I mean, if it's only like the occasional one, then maybe sure they can get away with it. I don't know. So prehistoric canines were used as pets. Dog bearers from 33,000 years ago says dogs were fed seafood and given jewelry. Yeah, so that's the thing. They're domesticated. Same as now. We have dogs. They have dogs. We could sort of see them as the same then. So dogs were given seafood. Yeah, so the humans wanted to look after the dog and keep the dog healthy and whatever. And they gave them jewelry as well, sort of like today. Yeah, so not huge differences there. Prehistoric teeth were much healthier. They didn't eat sugar and carbohydrate-rich food. So yeah, but that's okay. This is put under dental care, but I think that is sort of different. They're not brushing their teeth, yeah, but they don't really need to as much, I'd say. That's probably slightly off topic. When there were dramatic shifts in weather, prehistoric people made new tools to adapt. Yeah, so they were making like new forms of technology, basic technology, like we would today. I mean, like we make air conditioning if it's too hot. We have central heating if it's too cold. That's the thing. So yeah, we really think the same. We're always trying to adapt to whatever's happening. And yeah, that's the end of my video. Do whatever you feel is right, whether you want to comment, like, subscribe, or give it like or dislike. Or one thing I'd really like is if you give me some criticism, honest criticism, feedback. Like, people might be saying, oh, I can't understand what you're saying, or I don't know, there's some other thing you can do to make your videos more interesting, whatever. I'd like to hear from you. And so this is the end of my video, and thanks for watching, and goodbye.